I last saw you around in the Rich Woman Revolution community. So good to see you in this masterclass. And we are going to kick off pretty soon. I was just giving everyone like 2 more minutes. I know some of you are in your offices, some of you are on Teams calls, some of you are in traffic on the way home. But we typically start around this time, even in the last 2 days. Hi, Helena. Welcome to today's session. So good to see you in Freedom by Design Challenge. And I think this is the first time I am seeing you around our community. So you are so, so welcome. Okay, so I am going to hit things off in a minute. And I want to make sure that my slides actually do show up this time. Okay, so if you can just give me a second to make sure that the slides are all beaming correctly, and then we'll get started. But if you have watched the replays of day one to day two, if you were with us live, I would love to hear your feedback. I would love to hear what you sort of learned from it. What were your aha moments, if any? And that way it really helps me gauge like what are the things that you guys are loving to see, loving to hear, wanting to know all about, the corporate exit journey and life outside of a corporate construct, which is why you are here, right? You want to create freedom by design, you want to create a life by design. And I am guessing you are here because you want to do it without having to depend on a corporate job to get there. Okay, so if you've listened to day one, day two, let me know if that's still something on your to-do list. That is also totally okay, right? So do not feel like you need to have listened. I totally get it. I know how, you know, busy things can get. And if you are watching the replay as well, like team replay over here, there are many, many, many masterclasses, even coaching programs I join and pay for, and the times just don't work. And I end up having to commit to watching the replay. So that's totally okay. So, team replay, I got your back, I got you, and you are so, so welcome. But if you do end up watching the replays, Helena, great. No worries, you have access to them for another what? I think you have access to them for until Sunday, so you still have some time, and you can definitely just, plan to do it over the weekend as well. Okay, so do not feel rushed, but definitely put in some time to watch because I think they are just so, so powerful. So, so powerful. Okay, I don't know why I felt called to say that, but there is someone who needed to hear that. So today's session, we are really going to be going into human design again. We talked about it, we touched on it very briefly on day one, and I was giving you all the story of, why I've incorporated human design into the work that I do with my clients. Right now, I'm actually studying. I am doing a human design certification. And if you haven't heard about human design, like just drop me the word two. If you have heard about human design, drop the word one in the chat. I would love to just gauge where you are all in your, awareness of human design. No answer is wrong, right? When I was in corporate, I had never ever heard human design, okay? So it's totally okay if this is a completely, completely new thing that you are hearing about. That's totally okay. And that's what we are going to be talking about today. Okay, so I just want to see by show of hands. Helena says first time. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be going through, I'll probably do, yeah, maybe I won't do all of the slides from day one. So definitely watch the replay of day one because we have some really, really good stuff to go through today. So just a bit of housekeeping before I even continue. You have access, like I mentioned, to these replays until Sunday. So definitely put in time or schedule some time in your calendar. For me, I know what doesn't get put in the calendar does not get done. So I always make sure I, take time to schedule the things that are important to me and really put them in my calendar. So definitely do that for yourself. I also did share a very special offer, and I am going to mention it again today at the end of the of this call as well. I am actually giving 5 incredible women the chance to do a 60-minute intensive with me, where we will literally map out your corporate exit path, what that looks like, what next steps should you be taking tomorrow, next week, next month, and what that journey looks like for you based on your human design, right? And everyone has a unique human design. So this is not a copy and paste session. This is not something that you're going to be able to get off of Google or ChatGPT. It is very unique and customized to you. I just did one this afternoon with an incredible woman, and just the realizations she was having from it. And she mentioned that she feels so much, first of all, so much more connected with herself. And she had actually tried to leave her corporate job a year ago. And she decided she rescinded her resignation letter. And this time she mentioned after the call at the end that she feels so much more confident just from this 60-minute session that we did together in helping her understand her human design, how she's meant to really create impact in the world. What are some of the things that she needs to look out for, her personal self-sabotages, some of the things that she might do that might stop her from even, trying to or attempting to daring to dream and, do different, right? This path is not for everyone. Most people in corporate will unfortunately stay in corporate until they retire, right? Not you. The fact that you're in this room, hi Phyllis, so good to see you in here. The fact that you're in this room means that you want different, right? You might not necessarily want out of your corporate job tomorrow, today, this year, but you want to create the option for you to even be able to think, to not just think, but to actually do something different with the time that God has given you on this earth, right? And you only get to live once, okay? So if you are living for the weekend, if people ask you on a Monday how your weekend was, and your default answer is it was so short, and you're always looking forward to the weekend, there is a life for you where every day can feel so free the way the weekend feels. Okay. And I know from my time in the Big Four, even the weekends never felt truly like mine. Like I remember there were times I would even, like, I would be waiting on my phone, like literally looking at my phone like a hawk, waiting and checking if there was anyone who was going to call me on a weekend or ask for, a PowerPoint slide to be ready on a Monday at 9 a.m., which by default means you got to work on the weekend. And that's just the life of being in, the Big Four and being in management consulting. You really, self-sacrifice really becomes the theme of your life. And it doesn't have to be that way. And that's why you're in this room. Okay. So I know I have talked way more, way more than I wanted to, but I am going to go into the slides. And I would love for you to share. And thank you so much, Phyllis. You saved the day on Monday. Just drop me a yes if you can see my slides. Very important that you can see my slides, especially after I click present. For some reason, Monday, just that didn't happen. Okay, perfect. Let me see if you can see my slides from the chat room. Yes, okay, thank you so much. All right, so as I mentioned, let me just go back to this slide to just give you a recap of where we are going, right? I know you ladies are all very logical, thought-oriented, process-driven. So day one and day two is where we really talked about what the human design-backed corporate exit looks like. And today we are tying that in where we started. But today we're really talking about different income strategies based on your unique human design. Okay, and I'll give you a brief overview of what human design is, what it isn't, just for the benefit of those who still need to catch up with Monday's replay. And then on day two, yesterday, we talked about the freedom number. I shared a worksheet for you all to complete. So make sure you complete that freedom number because that is the only number you need to be working towards, not 6 months of your expenses, not replacing your corporate income. It really is your freedom number and it incorporates all that so that you feel in your body confident, calm, and your corporate exit comes from a place of peace and power and not money anxiety and stress and all the things that can possibly happen when you do not plan your corporate exit with this freedom number in mind. Okay. So let me go straight into the introduction of human design, and then I'll go into today's slides. Okay. So your human design is a unique blueprint that was placed in you when you were born, based on your birth data, where, when, the time you were born. And it is such a special thing because this blueprint is a self-awareness tool that helps you uncover your gifts, your potential, your energetic rhythm. When I say energetic rhythm, how you are actually meant to work on a day-to-day basis. Are you the kind of person who works in short bursts of time? Are you the kind of person who is actually meant to work with people? Or are you the kind of person who is more of a hermit, like I am, who loves having her own space? The thing is, the world, especially the corporate world, has conditioned us to believing that there is one single blueprint that we are all meant to follow. Hustle and grind, work long hours, right? That's what's glorified in corporate. And if you work in consulting or in a client-facing role, you are conditioned to believe that you are great if you know how to talk, network with people, talk in front of big crowds, speak about things you may not necessarily be fully confident about. That is like the epitome of success in a typical Big Four management consulting company and in the corporate world in general, right? If you're working towards the C-suite, those are some of the characteristics that are glorified. And the others that are still as important many times are just not recognized enough. Okay. And I know this because I had to really, really go through an entire sort of acceptance and self-love process of who I am as an introvert, because it definitely was not sort of it was not as glorified as people who were extroverts, who naturally loved speaking, naturally loved being in crowds, being in big rooms, being in cocktails, and doing all the things. And when I embraced that part of me, which is actually in my human design, I started to build very strong relationships with corporate clients that I brought into the firm and I built my portfolio off of my human design, quite literally, right? And it's fascinating how when you really uncover who you truly are, the more you raise your self-awareness, like self-awareness is very much linked to income and impact. Okay, so this is how you create your own blueprint for the life that you want. This is what freedom by design means. Like, this is the core. Okay, so your human design is not a belief system. If you go and you like put human design in Google, you will find all sorts of things, right? Astrologers, people who believe in chakras. You'll find a lot of like esoteric talk around it, but it's not a belief system. It's not a religion. It's not some spiritual, mystical thing. It is also not a personality typing system. And I know you have done so many of those. Oh my goodness, I did so many in my corporate career. Myers-Briggs, I did the Enneagram, even like customized personality tests that the firm that I worked in had put together. There was like a business typing tool that it had even created for people who were corporate facing or who were client facing, like I was. So it is not a personality typing system. It is an experiential self-awareness tool. It's actually quite scientifically, it's a hypothesis, right? And this hypothesis has been proven to be precise and accurate by thousands, myself included. Okay. When I embraced my human design, like everything literally changed. Right? I started to love myself more. My confidence increased. I started to see how I was meant to actually create income and impact, not how I was conditioned from my corporate role, right? And I started to embrace the fact one of the key aspects of my human design as a projector, and I'll share with you what this means, is rest for projectors like me is a requirement. So like today, I've actually taken time out to literally during the day. I went to my room and I like literally phone off and I rested. That is part of my human design. And I used to feel so guilty about it in my corporate job. And now it's something that I embrace. I even schedule in time in my calendar. And once a week, in the middle of the week, typically on a Wednesday afternoon, I don't do anything. And that is my rest day. Okay. So there are 5 elements. And ladies, please engage, ask questions. And I'm going to share the link for you to actually go and find your own human design. But I don't want you to get distracted. But I will share the link here for you to find out your human design, and you can play around with it. You can plug it into ChatGPT and ask it all sorts of questions. But there are 5 elements of human design that are most important for corporate women like you and I. Okay. 5 elements that are most important for corporate women like you and I. All right. The first one is your human design type. Okay. And I know some of this might feel a bit like so overwhelming. Fear not, you have the replay and you have me in here in the room. I got your back. So ask as many questions as you want about any aspect of what I'm sharing with you today. Okay. So the first one is your type, which is how you're designed to work. The second element of human design that I want you to be hyper aware of is your profile, your public role or your profile, which we're going to talk about today, which is your natural way of creating impact, right? And income comes from impact. Okay. It doesn't come from in this new economy, which is my private podcast that I am going to be talking more about from next week onwards, that I just literally recorded a few last week. I talk about how in the industrial age, which is where our parents worked and our grandparents, it was all about output. But in this new economy, the people who are getting highly paid, highly recognized are the people who are creating impact. And that does not necessarily mean putting more hours. And your human design profile or public role gives you a blueprint of your natural way of creating impact. Okay. Then you have your authority. This is how you're meant to make decisions in life. Some people are meant to be very logical, thought-oriented, get as much information as possible before they make particularly high impact decisions, like leaving a corporate job, for example. Other people just have an inner knowing. My inner authority is the one where I just have an inner knowing. My intuition tells me what is the right path to take, what is the right decision to make. Okay. Then you have your life's work. This is the deeper purpose behind your work. Okay. And then we have the channels, which really illuminate your natural strengths. All right. So on Monday, I went through the 5 types. I'm not going to go through them again, but you can take a screenshot here. And if you have done, or if you were with us, or if you did watch the replay, I would love for you to share what your human design type is in the chat room. I am a projector, so excuse me, like I mentioned earlier, I am actually a guide for people, and it's no wonder why I stepped out of my corporate role and stepped into, most of my time is spent consulting and also coaching women like you in this room. All right. And it's all written in my human design type. Okay. I am designed to lead through wisdom, not force. And like I said, for projectors, rest is a requirement. We do not have consistent internal energy like some of the other human design types. And so we need to put ourselves in places and spaces that allow us to have the space to work and rest at the same time. Okay. I want to remind you that no one human design type is better than the other. They are just only different. Okay. Your power comes from understanding your energy and not forcing someone else's path. So I really, really want you to sink that in. If you find that you are a projector or a reflector and you really were hoping you were a generator or a manifesting generator, which are like the people with constant energy, punching day in, day out, they can like literally work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 5 days, 7 days a week and not feel tired, especially if they're doing things that they love. Do not feel like you're missing out. Projectors are actually like me, we are meant to guide generators on how to incorporate rest into their schedule, because it's also not sustainable to just hustle for the rest of your life, and your life is just a long hustle and grind. Okay, so every single human design type has its role and has its way of creating impact and income in the world. So when you do your human design test, which is literally like a 5-second test, which is why I also love human design, it has nothing to do with your mind. This is a body-based test based on when, where, and what time you were born. Okay. I'm not going to also go through the like details on how it was, the sort of who founded it and where it came from. I talked about that on day 1, so you can definitely listen to that. And excuse me, ladies, just give me a second. And why this matters, I think I've given you a few pointers on why this matters, but human design truly gives you a decision-making framework that fits your natural strengths, and a decision like when to, exit this corporate matrix and enter into a new world where you're working for yourself and independent. That's a big decision, right? And human design gives you a framework that you can lean into to come up with all the decisions you need in order to make this a success for you. Even what you're going to be doing, what income streams you will pursue. All of them, I promise you, are written in your human design. There are pointers in your human design that if If only you just take the time to understand your human design, you will make so much more empowered decisions, and your corporate exit could even come so much sooner than you had anticipated or hoped or planned. Okay. All right. Any questions before we go into today's slides about human design? Please just drop them in the chat. I want to make sure we are all on the same page. Questions, questions. We're all good to go. As I go to, I think it was slide 53. Okay, if anything comes up, ladies, drop your questions in the chat. I am more than happy to support you as we go along. Okay, so today we're talking about different possibilities of how you could replace your corporate income, right? That is the million-dollar question that many of you want answered, because quite frankly, you probably don't want to leave your corporate job and then become dependent on someone else. And you also don't want to leave your corporate job and then have to like attempt so many different things, get burnt out, tired along the way, and potentially have to put your CV back and start looking for a job, right? So that's why today's session is so important, because first of all, we have been conditioned, you might not even realize it, but we have been taught to think that there are two paths to success in this life. You're either in the corporate world working for someone else, or you're an entrepreneur, right? So I want you to reframe this lie that you have to have this winning business idea to succeed outside of corporate, because you don't, okay? Quite frankly, you don't. I am living proof that you don't. I also thought that that was going to be my ticket to freedom, and it turns out it wasn't. I am still in the process of building my coaching business, right? And if I had waited until my coaching business started making $10,000 a month, which by the way, it did, and then I shut down my previous coaching business, I would have already gone back to corporate. All right. So maybe you've tried starting a side hustle. Maybe you've even tried like all these strategies that people are sharing with you out there on Facebook ads. But all of them may be not aligned to your human design, not even aligned to your circumstances, right? You know, all this whole hype from marketing bros out there, especially men, I would not, if you are a lady, I would not be taking your advice about your corporate exit from a man, especially if you're a mom. Okay. You have a completely different set of circumstances, a different like template to work from. You have different priorities, quite frankly. Okay. So all this hustle and grind culture out there around start a business, become an entrepreneur, like it might not even be for you, especially if you're like me and you're a projector, okay? So the right strategy to replace your corporate income, it doesn't require more effort. It is the strategy that unlocks more flow. It is the strategy that feels natural to you, because when you are working and living in flow, in a flow state, when you are not working against yourself, guess what? You enjoy what you're doing. You become magnetic. People realize that. People want to work with you. People want to buy whatever you are offering. And you create impact and income. That is why this is so important. So you could end up going into a business, and maybe that is in your human design and that is your strategy, right? Your natural strategy. But you could also do it, and that is totally not what you're meant to be doing. And I have seen over the last 5 years being in the online space, I have seen huge personalities shut down hyper successful businesses And I might not know their human design personally, but my gut feel and my instinct is they've done that because they went in and they were successful, but it was not in alignment with their natural strengths, talents, and their human design. So drop me a yes if you see why this conversation is important. And this is also why nowadays I do not tell my clients what to do. I do not give them a framework, and I'm not like, okay, if you want to leave corporate, you got to start a business like this. If you want to leave corporate, you got to start investing in property like I did. No, no, I don't do that. I empower them to raise their self-awareness so they can reach the decisions themselves on what is their design-led income strategy. Okay. Okay. Are you with me? Am I speaking something that is landing? I want to make sure that we are all together, ladies. Just let me know, drop me a yes. If this is still feeling like a very foreign language, please say explain in the chat room so that, or let me know exactly what it is that you would like me to go into more detail so that I can empower you as much as I can in the 90 minutes that, oh, well, now we have 50 minutes left together. Okay, I will keep an eye on the chat as I continue. All right. So first of all, like I said, you don't need a business necessarily. You don't need a side hustle. You need an income vehicle, right? And while a business or a side hustle is a way to replace your income, there are many ways to create cash today in your life that is not tied to a corporate employment contract. Many ways, right? And I have summed them up in these 3 income paths or these 3 income vehicles. Okay. A cash injection is where you're maybe even on the cusp of resigning. Maybe it has also been exacerbated or accelerated by something that has happened in your industry or even in your organization itself. And you're like, Rebecca, I cannot wait another 12 months to resign. I need to be out of this job in the next like 1 to 3 months. Or maybe you've been experiencing, a really bad corporate culture, right? A toxic environment, and staying is just going to have a much worse impact on your mental well-being than leaving and creating a cash injection to enable the exit. Okay. So this is also for the people who want to test a skill or test a service. And you can do this by doing contractual work. And of course, all this needs to be, taken through the power or it needs to be tested against your corporate policies. And I think every single organization has its policies on side hustling, on working, or, some of them call it moonlighting. And when I left, very interestingly, at the time when I was leaving my corporate firm, Deloitte, they had actually introduced they had enhanced their policies to encourage people to do work, to create side hustles outside of their jobs. Why? Because studies have shown that people who have a creative outlet or who have something going on outside of their mainstream job are actually happier, are more fulfilled, and more productive at work. It always has to go back to a benefit for them. All right. So I want you to filter whatever it is that I'm sharing with you with your current corporate situation. And, we can have that 45-minute intensive, 60-minute intensive if you want me to look at what that looks like specifically for your current corporate role. Okay. So if you need a cash injection, you can look into contractual work. When I was in corporate, I still remember um, there were, people who would ask me for trainings because they couldn't afford the trainings from Deloitte, and I would do it under the arm of I'm doing this voluntarily, right? And they would give me a sort of stipend or an allowance, like because I drove all the way to the training place. I now have to, pay for my own lunch. And that was a cash injection in itself, right? And, the firm was very aware of what I was doing and even encouraged it. Okay. It could be even coaching, right? Which is, what I do right now. One of the things that I do. It could be contractual work. So there are websites out there like Upwork and Fiverr where people are making so much money selling the most basic of services. Like there are people who literally I hire and all I ask them to do is like save all my downloads from my Zoom or I'm trying to migrate all my videos right now to YouTube. And I've hired someone to literally save all my videos from Vimeo, which was the previous tool I was using, to YouTube. And they make money like that. And it might not necessarily be something you enjoy doing, but if you need that cash injection, it's an option. Okay. Then the second path is now the cash flow asset, right? So this is where you want long-term income that doesn't require your face or doesn't require you to be constantly working, which is perfect for reflectors and projectors. Okay. But in my, coaching and in the work that I do with my clients, and we're going to be talking about it on Friday as well, it's so important to be thinking about wealth creation and not just how can I make more money, okay? Because the ultimate freedom is going to come from wealth creation. And wealth creation comes about when you have assets that are paying you, that are working for you, whether you are working or not, okay? My favorite form of wealth creation, my vehicle is real estate and more specifically short-term rental real estate. All right. But that could look very different for you. You could be a stocks girl. Okay. You could be the person who wants to invest in Bitcoin. Like pick whatever it is that interests you the most and start small. Honestly, just start small. Okay. And scale as you go along. All right. So important that you are thinking about this. I know your priority is probably income replacement, but like I said, start small. It could even just be 5%, 10% of your monthly income. It compounds. If I had started my wealth creation journey 12 years ago when I started working, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it, right? Because I would have created compounding wealth so much faster, than and this is a learning lesson for me right now, having only started this journey like 2, 3 years ago. But I'm sharing this with you because you can decide and draw the line in the sand and say today is your day number one. Okay. Then there's the scalable offer. So this is where you want legacy income, and you're not just here for a quick cash injection, but you want income that grows even while you're not working. Okay. So the second path was income from assets, but the third part is a scalable offer where this is income from a service you're providing, a product you're providing. It could be licensing. It could even be a certification. I have a client of mine who wants to do a certification for lawyers who want to go into commercial law. For lawyers who want to go into sort of who want to do their own thing. And she wants to do a certification from a business angle for lawyers who want to start their own firm. right? And give them like this certification that gives them the tools on how to start a law firm, right? The business side and the operation side of starting a law firm. Okay, so there are multiple things that you can do here. And I forgot to mention earlier, I have a gift. So if you join tomorrow live, and I will send a reminder today, if you join tomorrow live, you will get my workbook, which is it's a corporate exit planning workbook. And in that corporate exit planning workbook, I share 100 different ways to create income outside of your corporate career without starting a business. Okay. Sounds good. So make sure you join live because I am only going to be gifting that to the women who join live. So I want to see all of you in there tomorrow. All right. So there are multiple options, ladies, right? This whole, hustle and grind, start a side hustle, start a business, become an entrepreneur that has literally made some women even give up their dream of the corporate exit. Corporate liberation is simply just not true. There are so many options, and with AI now, there are even more options on what you could be doing. Okay. So the key is when you are picking your income path, you want it to match your energetic capacity. So if you are, let's say you are a manifesting generator and you have consistent energy and you are excited about a business idea that you've been thinking of for some time, or maybe someone brought an idea to you and wants to partner with you, it's important that you match that opportunity with your energetic capacity. If you're coming out a season of really feeling burnt out from your corporate career, you need to think about how you are going to execute that idea without burning out even further. Okay? If you only want to be working 4 days a week or 4 hours a day because you're a projector like me and you actually need to create time for you to rest because for the last 10, 20 years in your corporate career, you haven't, then you need to think about how you're going to execute that idea or if it's even practical or possible to do so with your current energetic capacity. And your human design will give you all the clues about that. Okay. All right. So it needs to feel meaningful. This is not just about making a quick buck. This is not just about making money because the people who create impact, like I shared earlier, are the ones who get paid the most. Impact always comes first. Okay. If it's just about the money, it's going to be very difficult to follow through, especially when challenges come your way, because challenges are inevitable. Challenges will come, right? You also want it to be buildable in your real season. So let's say you are a mom of 2. I'm a mom of 3. Okay. For me, it was important that I am able to do the school drop, that I am able to attend all my son's school events and my daughters now, who are in the same school as him. And so I wanted to have that flexibility. And so I did not look for consulting contracts that would require me to go into an office. So all my consulting contracts right now are fully remote. That was important for me. Okay. And there's one where, there's an option for me to go into the office, but it's not an obligation. Okay. You want to be creating ownership as you build whatever it is that you're going to build outside of your corporate career. Okay. You do not want to replace a corporate job with a business that is actually another job. Okay. We are here for freedom. Okay. So please, please, please keep that in mind. There are people who have done this. And like I said, I know big personalities, big personal brands that left the corporate career, created dream businesses, shut them down after 2 years because they just got burnt out. One of the ladies I can think of right now, she's called Vanessa Lau. She's on YouTube. Go and watch her YouTube video. She's actually a 2-4. No, she's not a 2-4, but she's a projector like me. Go and watch her video. She created $1 million business and shut it down because she got burnt out. We do not want you to be doing that. All right. And then you also want to be thinking of growing your wealth without it costing your health. All right. There is no income stream. There is no business. There is no consulting contract that is worth you sacrificing your health. Because if you're not healthy, how are you going to work? How are you going to wake up every day and actually put in the effort to get highly paid and to create and to be able to use that money to buy assets that eventually pay you and build your wealth? I know this is not talked about enough. And I feel like even though mental well-being is sort of being, there's more awareness around it in the corporate world, the truth and reality is people's health does not come first and well-being in a corporate context. And I don't want you to replicate that conditioning when you create something outside of it. Okay. So always keep tabs on your mental well-being, on your health, regardless of what income path you choose. Okay. So I want to make this practical. All right. So I am going on a limb here because I am actually sharing with you my income path and what that looked like. And when I left my corporate job, as I mentioned, I had a leadership coaching business. I don't know if anyone of you was here when I was talking about leadership on LinkedIn. Like just drop a yes or drop an OG. Let's see if there are any OGs who were here back when I was doing leadership coaching, back when I was selling a very highly successful program. It was called the Elevate Collective. I had, I think, 17 women go through that program. That program alone made me like over $50,000 while I was still working in my corporate career, which is huge. And so that leadership coaching business was really successful. And I thought that was what I was going to be doing once I leave my corporate job, because I was still doing it when I resigned. And even on my last day at work, that was what I was still spending most of my time on. And after after I wrapped up the last program, that was in July of 2024, I said, I can't. I just cannot see myself encouraging women to climb up a corporate ladder that I no longer believe in. It just feels fake. And I shut it down. I shut down a business that was actually doing well. And I had to start from the ground up. So my first, truly my first income stream was a consulting contract that I had got off the relationships I had built. Right? Remember, my human design, my public role is I'm actually really, really good at creating meaningful relationships, one-on-one relationships. And lo and behold, one of those relationships resulted in me having this income stream. When I told them I was resigning, they were like, Rebecca, you cannot leave us. Somehow, some way, somehow, we need you to be working with us even once you leave. And I put a proposal together. I didn't even know what I was doing at the time, but with my knowledge hat from all the numerous, I probably did more than 100 different proposals while I was at Deloitte, PwC. I put a proposal together and they accepted it. Like we didn't even negotiate the rate that I had proposed. And that was my first income path. And no, it did not fully replace my freedom number was not achieved from just this one stream of income, but I had already started creating other pathways to earn income before I resigned. It's just that at the time I resigned, I was not yet making money from them. Okay. So the properties that I had, taken down were still in the legal sort of transition process. I hadn't signed them yet. And so it took time before I started making money from them. Okay. But I was just so determined, and I had, a good amount of savings. It was at least probably 50% of my freedom number. And I felt good enough to trust in myself and my ability to make things work for me, which is another aspect of the corporate exit. It's not just about the money, it's also about self-trust and having the courage. Okay. So I'm not saying go and be reckless, but for me, I wanted this so much, and I just felt that that was the right time. I just knew it in my heart of hearts that that was the right time. And I'm so glad I did. All right. So the second income stream came from the properties that I had started to take down. So before my last day at my corporate job, I was already in the process of buying 3 short-term rental properties. All right. And now those properties in total make up around $1,300 to $2,000 net every single month. Right. During the low seasons, they don't make as much money, but during peak seasons, like from November to February, March, it's around $2,000 net, right? So that is an immediate increase and bump to my income streams, okay? And then after that, I was still I actually wouldn't say I was in the hunt, but I was having conversations with colleagues that I had worked with, that I had confided in when I was going through what I was going through in my corporate career. And one of those conversations resulted in me signing on another corporate consulting contract. All right. And this did not happen immediately. Like from here to here, this was like a 5-month timeline. Okay. So let go of this notion that it has to happen in a specific way. It doesn't have to happen in a specific way. Okay. And then I do co-hosting for other short-term rental property owners. And while it is not a big source of income, this is sort of my fun bucket. So I use this to take myself out, go to the spa, and many different things that I do with that money. And money is money. Again, don't wait for the $10,000, $20,000 ticket opportunity. Okay, start seeing the opportunities that are already around you and build on them. Okay. So this is how I eventually, put these money into all the different buckets that I shared yesterday when we were talking about the freedom number. And so by the time I reached this point, I had fully replaced my income ×2. Okay. Did I have a full-on plan? Yes. Did reality go as per the plan? No. But I kept on. I kept going at it. I kept believing in myself, and I kept just doing what I needed to do every single day, taking action towards the version of me who was fully financially free, who was never going to need a corporate job to live the life I wanted. All right. Okay, who is feeling like inspired from this story? Because this is not the typical story you'll hear from people who have left their corporate jobs. It's typically, oh, I left and I don't know, I started a business and my business made $100,000 or something. Like everyone has a different path. Okay, everyone has a different path. Okay, yes, I see yes in the chat. Perfect. I am so happy that this is really helping you see how your path could look so maybe even different to what you have envisioned it to be, or what you have thought it needs to look like. Okay. So just more on linking the human design type. And if you haven't done the human design test, you can always come back to this point in the replay and like look up your strategy, strength, and what works for you in creating income and wealth building. So for the manifester, who is an initiator, these are like the visionaries of the world, excuse me. These are the people who have really great ideas and really need to be the ones who initiate and not wait for others to tag along with their vision. Okay. So for this person, you want to create and lead big, bold offers. Like you do not need to test and try out different cash injection options. You are actually ready to go all the way to the scalable offers and put them out there in the world, right? Put yourself out there in the world, which is something that you naturally don't find difficult to do. But especially if you are putting yourself out there from a place of something you truly believe in and something that you have initiated. Okay, it needs to come from you internally. Whereas the manifesting generator and the generators, they need to respond to opportunities. So, do you see how this is different? So, these people will attract opportunities naturally to them, and then they need to respond to the ones that feel most aligned to them. Okay. For the generator, responding and mastery of your craft is so important. Okay. So if you want to go into consulting or if you want to go into coaching, it's important that you are also mastering your craft, not just leaning on your lived experiences, but you are studying. Maybe you're taking a coaching certification. Maybe you are learning from another coach who has done what you are trying to do. The manifesting generator is multi-passionate, right? So these are the people who can like be running 5 different things at the same time and be totally okay with it. Whereas the projector needs to go deep. The projector needs to go deep into 1 or 2 things and create systems that allow them to work and prioritize rest. Right? So for example, high return on investment or high return on investment consulting opportunities, strategic partnerships, which is something that I am also increasingly doing now, partnering with other coaches and not necessarily thinking that all my coaching income needs to come just from me selling to people. I can also partner with other coaches and get paid by coaches. Okay, which is all about strategic partnerships. And then the reflectors, who are the minority human design type. So this is around 1% of the world. So 1% of 1 billion is like 10 million people in the world, which is a very small number. So these people thrive in aligned spaces. They are people who love mirroring, listening, right? If you think of really great therapists, many of them are probably reflectors. Their wisdom comes from the environment around them. They need to feel rhythm. They are not people who like take decisions quickly like manifestors and manifesting generators. They really need to have space and time to thrive, grow, and thrive in whatever it is that they decide to do. So your human design type, as you can see, plays a role in how you are going to take advantage of alternative income opportunities and how you are going to work towards them. Okay, so do not replace like a job hustle with a business hustle if you are a projector or reflector. That is not how you're meant to work. Okay. Okay. So the other thing that I want to talk about, and let me see how I am for time. Okay, we're good on time, is your public role. Okay, so your public role or your profile in human design reveals the energetic position you're here to hold. And let me see if I have let me just show you from my human design chart. Okay. So I'm getting tongue twisted there. My public role or my profile is the number here, the first number on the right of this decimal point, and the first number on the right of this top number here after the decimal point, okay? So I am a 2-4. That is my public role or my profile in human design, and my type is projector, okay? My strategy is I'm meant to wait for invitations. Just like I did with these corporate consulting contracts, I did not go out chasing them. I waited for invitations. I just leaned into my networks and they didn't just land. I had conversations with people, but not from a place of forcing. All right. So my role or profile is 2-4, and that's how you find out what your profile is. So your homework for today is very simple, actually, is to go and find out what your profile is from your human design. And then I will share this in a worksheet with you so that you can actually link up and read more about your profile and the lens in which it's going to help you naturally create income and impact. Okay. So there are 12 different types or different profiles. There are 5 human design types, and then there are 12 profiles or public roles. Okay. So you could be any one of these. And as you can start to see, there are infinite number of combination of human design. No one person has the same human design as the other. Even if you're a twin, you will have a different flavor in your human design than your fellow twin, which is why this work is so, so beautiful, because it's really hyper personalized to you. Okay. So I'm just going to really, really go very, very quickly through the different public roles or profiles, but it's going to make sense to you once you know what your profile is, all right, or your public role. Okay. So the 1-3, these are the grounded explorers. These are people who love doing research, who love going in deep. And it's their depth, it's their knowledge that makes them credible. Okay. So their real life tests make them relatable, but it's their depth that gives them the credibility that they have. All right. These people are meant to teach from a lived experience as well, but they also need to lean into depth, research, knowledge, understanding. Okay. This is typical of line 1. Those are people who are very much, they love the research, really going into the depth of something, going down to, the bottom of something and not just surface level. The 1-4 profile is a trust builder. So these people also have the line 1, so that sort of investigator, the person who wants to do all the research, but they are a trust builder. So the 4th line, these people are relationship builders. Okay, so the combination of the 4 makes them different to the profile 1-3. All right, so the trust builders, people trust their knowledge, but people will stay with you because of your warmth. They are not staying with you. They are not wanting to learn from you or wanting to work with you or wanting to pay you for a service because of your knowledge. It's because of your relationship. So they thrive off strong relationships. And that is very similar to the 2-4, which is me. Okay. I'm not here to chase. I am not here to cold pitch to women on LinkedIn and ask them if they want to join my program. I create the space. I invite people into my spaces. I give you the invitation and you decide whether this feels like a fit for you. Okay? So I am here to really just open up opportunities to have the invite for people to want to work with me. And my network, as a 2-4, a magnetic connector, my network is my net worth. And I have seen that over and over again. Literally from the opportunities I've created, like that income path I shared with you, the biggest sources of income have come from my network. The 2-5 is the natural leader. So these are people who can easily like get in and work a room and sell a product and or sell a service, and people will buy because of their natural leadership. But it's also important that these people own their lane because they can easily be influenced by other people's projections on them. Then the 3-5, these are the solutionists. So these are the people who are very good at problem solving. So these people could do really, really well with solving a very specific problem, for example, in very specific organizations or for people, right? So I have a friend who is a line 3, and she helps women in perimenopause stop having migraines. That is a very specific problem for a very specific person. Solution creator. And their transparency is really their sales strategy. So people with a 5 in their public role or profile, they have that element of transparency. They are very direct. They do not need to warm up people like I do. That's why I share my story almost every single day that I've been in this room, because I need to warm up. You need to warm up to me. I'm not just going to come in here and be like, okay, let's talk business. No, I need you to warm up to me and to see yourself in my story in order for you to actually take in what I am sharing with you. My wisdom is elevated through the experiences that I create, and the connections that I build with you will come from that. Whereas people with the 5 in their profile or public role can be very direct, results driven. All right. Then we have the 3-6. So this is the evolutionary. This is where you literally can monetize your journey based on your brand. Think of the Kardashians. I am sure many of the Kardashians are 3-6 profiles. They have literally created a brand just selling their story, like their everyday life, cameras following them around in their everyday life. That's how they really made their first break in terms of, the wealth that they've created, keeping up with the Kardashians. Okay. And they made the messy middle visible. Like they actually normalized people talking about the struggles that families go through, that before then, families would want to hide. They normalized talking about their dad wanting to, have a sex change and how that affected them as a family. And I still remember when I was in university, actually in university, watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians and being so shocked about some of the scenes that they would show, like, arguments that they would have as a family with their mother, or someone wanting to break up with a boyfriend. They normalized that. They made that messy middle visible, and they created a huge amount of success from that. Okay, then the 4-1 is the anchored influencer. So this is the person who does need to use their relationships to create impact and income, but they thrive on structure. Remember, the 1 is the investigator, the researcher, very process oriented. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Excuse me. And so they need to use both their relationship building and their structure to lead movements with depth, to create change with depth. They cannot just influence without that structure, without that grounding of their knowledge base. They need that in order to succeed. Then the trustworthy guide, the role 4-6, my son is a 4-6. These people have lived through it. They have gone through experiences that many people might never go through in their life. And they embody it in their wisdom. and people follow them for that. Bob Proctor is a very good example of a 4-6 profile. He actually was a 4-6 profile. Many of the things he taught did not come from, they came from lived experiences. I remember when I did some of his courses, he would share his story over and over and over and over again. And there was always a gem of wisdom to take from it. And that's how the profile 4-6 is meant to thrive. All right. So they are guides. They are the guides of this world, but through their lived experiences. That's how they create the impact that they're meant to create in the world. Then we have the expert leader. So these are the people who are like, I'm in business. I am here to sell. You got to be buying what I am selling. They're very results oriented. They don't need to warm up to you like the 2-4s or anyone with a 4 line in their profile. But they also are able to do it in a very simplistic way. Okay, so they naturally have this aura of authority about them, which makes it easy for people to trust and eventually buy from them. Whereas the 2-4 needs to build relationships first, and they thrive off their relationships they've built. The expert leader can come in and work a room and sell because of their natural aura of authority. All right. And for a long time, I tried to be the expert leader. I tried to be the person who just wanted to step into a room or step into a live and immediately sell. And nowadays, I hardly ever do that. I open up the space for an invitation. You decide whether you see yourself in it or not. But I build trust, like being on here for 5 days, giving my time, preparing for these sessions is part of the trust building that I am creating with you all. Some of you are in my masterclass for the first time, right? Some of you have been in all my masterclasses this year. Relationships, relationship building. Okay, the 5-2, very quickly. For the 5-2 is the practical muse. So they are here to lead from the back end. They don't necessarily want to be like the expert leader who can just enter and work a room and sell and people just trust their authority. They're here to lead from the back end. Okay, so they need to create powerful systems that give them the space to sell, to provide a service, to share whatever it is that they are an expert in, that speak on their behalf. So they do not need to be walking around offices selling door-to-door sales. That's not their thing. The expert leader, absolutely great with that. But the practical muse, they need to have systems that sell for them in the background. Then the embodied sage doesn't even need to market, right? When people just see them, when people just are in their aura, in their environment, all that's required. They just need to be seen and people will buy into what. And neither one is better than the other. The most important thing is that you know your profile and you are working in alignment with it. Because the minute you are working out of alignment, that's when you get tired, frustrated, and probably not create success as fast as you could. Okay? Okay, the last one is the 6-3. So these people are, again, very experiential. Remember, the 3 in any of the line profiles are experiential people. So these people are here for the long game, right? 6 is that, the wisdom, the person who embodies their experiences and really shares wisdom from the lived experiences. But these people are also here for the long game. Okay. These are the legacy builders. They are here to monetize every season of their evolution. And so they are not meant to just be static in their ways. So they could be in a season right now where perhaps they want to be corporate consultants. And then they could evolve into a season where they want to maybe do coaching. And then they could evolve into a season where they maybe want to do book writing or speaking on stages or hosting seminars. And that is okay because every single season of their life comes with different lived experiences. And it's for them to lean into their human design, to know how to package those experiences because their story, their experiences, that is their asset. That's what sells for them. That's really how they're able to create impact. Okay. Who here feels empowered? Who here is like, wow, there are so many different ways or paths to create income. I didn't even know about these profiles. Who here maybe can guess what their profile is before you even do it? Do your human design test. I want to just take a quick like gauge of how you are feeling after this session. Let me know. You can just drop it in the chat. And if you have any questions, please also do let me know. Just drop them in the chat as well. I'm happy to take some questions. We have about 5 minutes, so I am happy to answer any questions you might have. And actually, given we have 5 minutes, each one of you can actually go into the human design link that I shared with you and literally just quickly put in your birth data and let me know what it says about your profile. Okay, let's do that. Let's make this practical. I'm going to share it again in the chat. So click the link, put in your birth data, and then let us know in the chat room what your profile is. It shouldn't take literally more than 30 seconds, including opening the link, putting your birth data, and it will give you the information. This, I forgot. This one might ask you for like your account and want you to log in. I can't remember. But there is another one that I give my clients that is even faster because it doesn't ask you to create an account. Let me give you that one. I hope this is gonna work for you. Okay. Try this one. This one might be faster. But if you've already done the other link that I shared, that's also fine. They will give you the same results if you put the same information. Okay, I am waiting to see who is first to share what their profile is. Okay. So if you are on mybodygraph.com, your profile is the first number behind the decimal point on the right over here, and the first number behind the decimal point on the left-hand side over here. Okay, so mine is 2-4. And it also tells you what your profile is. Maya Mechanics does the same as well. All right, anyone want to share before we wrap up?
It's still opening on my side.
Okay. That's fine. We'll give it like another minute or so. I've done it, but can't tell. Okay. Helena, there should be, just look at your body graph. I know it can be very confusing when you see this for the first time. So see where I am pointing on mine, okay? So under personality, all these numbers on the right, the only number that matters that we're looking at now is the number after the decimal point. Okay, so for me, that is 2, the first number on the top of your body graph. Under the word personality, it's for me, it's 49.2, but your profile is this number 2 behind the decimal point. And then you take the number at the top of your body graph on the left after the decimal point, which is, for me, 4. So I am a 2, 4. So just find those numbers and drop them here. And then we can map them to the profiles I've just shared. Yes, 3, 5. Okay, very interesting. So you're a solution creator, Helena. And I would love to know if that resonates with maybe how you've naturally just showed up in your work or how you've been recognized in the workplace where you work. That sounds right. Yeah, so you're the kind of person who needs to experiment. You're not the kind of person who is just going to, choose one income path and run with it. You need to experiment. You need to try different things. You need to break things. You need to build them better. You really thrive off of allowing yourself and giving yourself the space to experiment. And that should be a theme in your income strategy in replacing your corporate income. Okay. Not putting yourself in a box, but really experimenting with different things to create solutions, right? To create very specific solutions. All right. And your transparency, because you're that solutionist, like people thrive when you are transparent about your process, right? So about even maybe your story, when whatever it is that you're creating and selling, that is how you're going to thrive in creating a design-led income strategy. And we can go through this in more detail tomorrow for sure. I'm more than happy to bring in some more insight. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad that it has given you some good insight to look into. And I know it can be very confusing with all the numbers, but we'll actually go, now that you've mentioned it, tomorrow, I am going to go through the body graph in more detail, so that you can also feel empowered to look at it in more detail. But a cheat sheet, you can actually just take a screenshot of your body graph, put it in ChatGPT, and ask it questions like, what does my human design tell me about how I'm meant to make decisions, about how I'm meant to show up and create income and impact in the world? You can even ask it, I want to leave my corporate job. Like, what's the best path, or what are the different paths available for me to do that in alignment with my human design? Okay, so you can go and, go into the GPT rabbit hole and yeah, just use it to be experimental, like the solution creator that you are. Okay, we will do this again tomorrow. So if you haven't been able to get your public profile from the last few minutes, we're going to do this again tomorrow, so fear not. And then you can share it. Let me see what's in the chat here. Okay, perfect. You can share your insights, but just a reminder, as I mentioned, I will be, as I mentioned, that I would invite you again into this one-on-one intensive. So if you want to go deeper in your, a really aligned corporate exit, into mapping out what that looks like for you, You want to leave with clarity. You do not want to, just continue to spiral in questions and self-doubt and wondering if this is even possible for you. You really just want to create clarity on what your next steps could look like and what your corporate exit path could look like. I am offering a limited number of human design corporate exit intensives. Okay. So we're going to take that body graph you just came up with, and we're going to look at it, and I'm going to share and give you insights on your natural strengths, how you're best meant to make decisions, what potential income paths could be in alignment with you, how you could explore wealth creation given your human design, which is so, so powerful. Okay. So this is typically a $111 session. It's a 60-minute session, but if you're in this room up until tomorrow, okay, up until tomorrow, you'll be able to book yourself a session for half the price, actually less than half the price. Okay, so make sure you use the code MyExit on checkout to take advantage of the $47 offer. Okay, so it's currently $49. Sorry, I keep mixing it up. It's currently $49 if you use the code MyExit. And I mean, honestly, if I had this opportunity when I was thinking of leaving corporate, like I would gobble it up so quickly, right? Like $49 is literally less than $2 a day. So if you spend $2 on lunch today, which is in South African terms, that's like 40 Rand. In Kenya shillings, that's like what? 300 shillings. If you spent more than that on your lunch, this is absolutely something that you can do, right? So this is really a no-brainer price point. So price should not be the reason you get yourself this session, but they are limited because my time is limited, and I really just want to pour into the 5 women who are going to take advantage of this. So you have the link in the chat, so make sure you click the link or take a screenshot. And I will not be sharing the coupon code with everyone. So just take note of the coupon code there. It does expire tomorrow at midnight. So if you want to take advantage of this invite, you can do so using the code to get your 50% off. All right, ladies, I will see you tomorrow for day 4. I can't believe how fast this has gone. And
Hi, Rebecca. I managed to. Hi, Rebecca.
hi, Phyllis.
Do you have a minute? I managed to do my graph.
Okay, just drop what's your profile number?
Do you mean on the right side there's 9.2, on the left side there's 4.40.5.
So you're a 2-5. So you are interesting. I have a 2 in my profile, so that's very interesting. And the 2 is really the naturalist. Like things come very naturally to you, but sometimes you don't realize that. And it's important that you understand what your natural gifts are, right? So you need to maybe ask other people, like, what are the things that they see you do really well, because it might not really come very obvious to you. You might think that it's, normal. So that's one of the traits of the 2-5. The other trait of the 2-5 is you're a practicalist, right? You're a practicalist and you're able to break things down very easily for people. You're a natural leader as well. So your leadership really comes through in the way you work with people, in the way you work even by yourself independently. So just some insights that you might find interesting for you. I would love to know if this resonates. And we can definitely go into more detail tomorrow.
Oh, yes, it does resonate. Thank you so much.
You're
Rebecca, share.
welcome. You're
All
welcome.
right.
All right, ladies, I will see you tomorrow, nice and early. Have a lovely evening, and make sure you check the link
Cheers. Bye.
with the
Bye.
intensive. We'll see you tomorrow for day 4. Bye, everyone.